Self-love is up to you and only you. Happiness is an inside job, y'all. Today, my go-to tool for building confidence from within. This is Project Swagger, your transformation toolkit, and I'm Robin Arzón. And before I married my husband, Drew Butler, I married myself, baby. So this tattoo is a diamond. It's on my left hand, and way before I got this glorious ring that my husband custom designed, I was at a brand event, and they had a tattoo artist set up in the corner. And this might be more common now, but this is the first time I had ever, in the late 2000s, seen a tattoo artist at a brand event. And I was like, what? Who would get a tattoo at essentially a cocktail party? I mean, I guess me, this girl. I had this moment where I was looking at the designs, and one of them was this diamond. And I was in this period of time where I was manifesting and trying to send out to the universe, where is my man? Where is he? And I was getting frustrated and feeling like I'd put so much energy to all these areas of my life, and this was the one area of my life that felt incomplete. And I was on the New York City dating circuit, and if you know, you know, it is so real out there. And I had this flash where I was like, Robin, you don't need the perfect moment. You don't need the picturesque. You don't need everything to look perfect in order to honor yourself. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go. I'm going to sit in this chair and I'm going to get this tattoo. And I got it in this spot. And if you can't see it, it's in between the skin, in between my index finger and my thumb. And it's about the size of a quarter, this diamond. And I sat there in that chair and I closed my eyes and I literally envisioned white light surrounding me. And I just kept internalizing this mantra, you will be okay, even if it's just you. You will be okay, even if it's just you. And then I punctuated it with this call out to the universe, but if he's out there, I want it to feel expansive and liberating rather than constricting. Self-love is a lifelong pursuit, baby. And I work at it in a million different ways. And one of the primary ways I tap into my self-love journey is through journaling. And that is what we're going to go deep into today. I started journaling around the same time I got the diamond tattoo. It was a time of my life in my early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, when I was searching. I was transitioning careers. I was trying to figure out who I was in this early adulthood, and I needed tools to help me with that conversation. And journaling became a way for me to get my thoughts out on paper and become a little less self-conscious about the thoughts that were in my head. When I first started journaling, I had this idea that it had to look a certain way or sound a certain way or be a certain way. You know, when you enter entrepreneur life, you have gaps in your day where you're like, am I okay? Why don't I have more things to do right now? And I remember being in a coffee shop in Union Square and writing in my journal and setting up. I had my little tea. It felt like such a Sex and the City moment. And then I sat there with my pen and my notebook, and it didn't feel. I was like, I have nothing to write. I don't. How that then the Sex and the City moment vanished immediately because I had this impression that let me tell you how this is what I thought my journaling should sound like. I thought my journaling should sound like an episode of Bridgerton. I thought it should sound like this polished and prim ball gown wearing version of myself that had it all together. And when I realized really quickly that the inner voice that I was translating pen to paper could sound like me, could have flaws, incomplete sentences, grammar didn't need to be perfect. It could be scribble, it could be scratch. It was just the idea that I was unburdening myself and having a less self-conscious place to do it. And I would start with a timer of 10 minutes, and I would force myself just to keep writing for 10 minutes. And oftentimes I wouldn't even look back at what I wrote. It was just the process of getting in between my ears and listening for long enough, thinking for long enough. And then sometimes amazing ideas would come and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I got to pull on that thread. But I realized through journaling, different periods of my life where I was overtraining, overcommitting, overgiving. I remember a period of time, actually on the eve of my wedding. I find that oftentimes when we're in these really joyful, high octane periods, like postpartum or getting ready for a wedding or getting ready for a graduation, they're very intense. Like they're physically intense, they're emotionally intense. And it doesn't mean you're not happy. I was so grateful to be able to marry the love of my life in a 4-day wedding in Mexico with like the coolest people I've ever met. But it was also a lot. If you've ever planned a wedding, you know. And it was through journaling that I was like, oh, there are aspects of this that you're actually not okay. And I realized, now looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, like at the time I was seeing a doctor for my digestion. I don't think I was eating enough fiber. I certainly wasn't getting enough sleep. I was overtraining. I wasn't taking enough rest. And looking back, and if I looked at those journal entries during that time, I probably would have seen clues. It's just, I find that journaling is a nice mirror to level set, even if minimally, it is just a brain dump of all the things you've got murking around your head before you can transition into another part of your day. So before kids, I would journal in the morning. Now I usually journal at night. I actually don't think journaling is something that you need to do every day. I probably journal 3 to 4 times a week, and that's enough for me. I think making an anchor of at least 3 days a week makes it a consistent practice, but relieve yourself of the pressure that it needs to look a certain way, sound a certain way, or be done in a certain way. It's just putting pen to paper for a period of time, enough where you can have reflection in a way that's not self-conscious. And if you don't know what to write, I've got plenty of prompts for you. Take what works, leave what doesn't, but you might want to get your pen and paper ready. What makes you feel joy? I mean like embodied joy. The kind of joy where you're laughing too loud. The kind of joy where like you can't help but smile. And I realized when I was journaling this question, it was in a period of my life where I hadn't felt it in a while, or I couldn't identify a moment or a person or an experience. And I was like, okay, yeah, definitely gotta pay attention to that. What personality trait do you love about yourself? What is a characteristic that makes you unique? When do you feel most confident? How can you make yourself a priority today? Where am I abandoning myself? If any of those questions feel unanswerable, answer anyway. Fake it. Sometimes you write what you want to believe before you fully believe it. Do some diagnostics. What is blocking you from believing in yourself? Are there relationships in your life that are exhausting? I call them energy vampires. Are you giving too much to someone and not receiving the same in return? What can you forgive yourself for? Ask for help. Asking for help is not failure or weakness. Go to your trusted critics. Go to your board of directors. Professional help. No one can be a one-woman warrior. A therapist or spiritual guide can be an important resource. And if you don't have access to that in person, then there are tons of books and literature that help us do that inner work. Maybe your hurdle is not emotional. Maybe you're thinking, girl, I barely have time to do your 15-minute Peloton rides. I get it. You don't need a journal. Pick one question, write it down, and put it somewhere you will see it every day. Maybe it's a Post-it on your bathroom mirror. I did that. That's my Post-it note moments have helped me a lot. Now, final call to action. Tell me 3 things you love about yourself. Not achievements, not titles. These aren't things that live in your bio necessarily. They're traits. They're how you show up in the world from the inside. Let's model self-love loudly. Let's normalize celebrating ourselves and each other. Support for this show comes from Shopify. We're moving into spring, which means all those New Year's fantasies are in the past. It's time to recommit what you want this year. And if that means taking the next step towards starting your business, you can check out Shopify. I have used Shopify personally before, and it makes everything simple by having one login for everything. No more guessing your passwords, hoping you have them saved on the device that you're using. Everything is in one platform with one login, making your life that much simpler. Shopify has helped so many businesses, from small mom and pop shops just getting started to some of the largest businesses like Alo Yoga and Gymshark. They help anyone who wants to achieve their dream get there. All you need is the hustle and the drive. Plus, they have so many great tools to help you build your site. Not a website engineer? Totally cool. Shopify has thousands of templates ready for you to customize so that your site feels as unique as your business without wasting your time messing around with all those various settings. Ready to build your own empire? Head to shopify.com/swagger and get started today. We're doing something new today. Instead of taking your calls, I'm going to make a call myself. Welcome to the Project Swagger interview series, y'all. We're calling it the Rolodex. If you know, you know. Every few episodes, I'll dial up someone who personifies swagger and ask them about the daily disciplines that make the biggest impact on their life. I cannot imagine a better guest to start with. This is the incredible Dr. Becky Kennedy. She is a clinical psychologist, mom of 3, and the founder and CEO of Good Inside, a global parenting platform and community. She is also a #1 New York Times bestselling author with a brilliant new book out called Leave Me Alone, a Good Inside story about deeply feeling kids. She's got scripts. She's got tips. She's got the advice for even the frameworks, honestly, of just our own self-care. And one of the main things that stick with me is this idea that 2 things can be true. Like, my little one's feelings are valid and so are mine. 2 things can be true at the same time. And I think that she gives us freedom to not only feel our feelings, but embrace the messy parts of parenthood. And there are many. So let's call up Dr. Becky Kennedy, y'all. Dr. Becky, thank you for picking up the phone. This is a special segment on Project Swagger called the Rolodex, and I'm honored that you are in my Rolodex. Welcome today. So we're going to talk about some of the habits and disciplines that make you great and enable you to give millions of us, including myself, parenting advice. What would you say is your most consistent daily habit?
My most consistent daily habit is probably the daily relationship I have with my calendar. I'll explain what I mean. I really use my calendar as much as possible to try to represent my values and what I care about. And it kind of becomes how I don't achieve balance, but I am able to do some of the things I care about. So I'll schedule in what I'm doing at 5:30 in the morning because I wake up early. And if it's in my calendar, I'll get it done. If I haven't seen one of my kids in a while in a one-on-one way, I'll actually put that as a block in my calendar. And it's not cancelable the way that a meeting at work would be. And so I think that really, really enables me to have a day and a week that ends up feeling good.
Huge takeaway. I love that the heat map basically of your calendar is directly reflecting the values of how you're spending your time. It makes total sense. You strike me as let me know if this is an accurate assumption. You strike me as a disciplined person. Is that true?
With some things.
Let's talk about an area of discipline that you think has paid off the most in your life.
Probably my mornings. I've realized that now that I have 3 kids and I don't get any hours back at night, I actually think the worst thing that no one tells you is as your kids get older, they don't go to bed. And so you have basically no time at night between putting them down and you going to sleep. Now, I happen to be an early riser, so I didn't have to start that habit in a painful way like a lot of people do. But from 5:30 to 7 is my time. And I use that in a variety of ways. Sometimes it's all about work and writing something that feels really interesting to me and getting it down on paper. Robin, as you know this, a lot of mornings I spend with you where you tell me, and you were right recently, that is not a push up. And I was like, "You're right, Robin." But I know it comes from love.
Respectfully.
No. Lovingly. You knew I could do better and you were right. And it felt amazing to be called out. I was like, oh, Robin. But really the theme, even if it looks different on the surface, is it's always remarkably the same. It's something that lights me up inside. It's something where I'm the primary beneficiary. It's something that ends up feeling like I'm starting my day in a way I'm proud, and I'm very protective of my mornings for that.
I admire that, and I can relate. What is your top wellness product at the moment? Do you have one?
You know what? My 11-year-old daughter got me a Laneige face cream, and I'm not going to pretend that I have a sophisticated skincare routine. She's like, Mom, there's things out there for this situation.
Mom, there's a product for that.
She actually does this. She's like, and for my birthday, I guess she went and got me this cream. And I have to say, when I put it on, it feels very luxurious and it feels like I'm taking care of myself.
Amazing. So asking for, I feel like when people ask this question, they're like asking for a friend. No, I'm asking for myself. When I make a parenting mistake, I'm short with my kids and I just feel like, oh, I could have done that so much better. And I know you go into detail in your books about this, but what is the first step after a parenting mistake like that?
So the first thing I'm going to latch onto is the word mistake I always struggle with. Like, I don't know if it's a thing. And it's not like I don't know the definition, but it just has a feeling of finality to me, like it has a period. There's some moment you're not proud of. And it's usually a moment where you're acting out of alignment with your own values. And so I think the step after is to tell yourself that I acted out of alignment with my own values, or kind of more colloquially and realistically, I'm not proud of that moment. And I think the step we skip is repairing with ourselves.
With ourselves.
Yes. You thought I was going to say repairing with your kid.
Yeah, no, I was like, I read all the repair scripts in your book.
So I think that the thing that we skip, you cannot repair with anyone in your life before you've repaired with yourself. And before you've repaired with yourself, it's not usually a repair. You usually go to your kid, we say weird things like, I'm sorry, you still love me, right? And they're like, I'm 3. Like, why are you putting this on me? Deal with your stuff, Or we're like, that wasn't a big deal, right? If you repair with yourself, which sounds like separating who you are on the inside, your identity, with the moment that happened on the outside, behavior. I think a simple way to do that is, I'm a good mom who yelled. Literally, I'm a good mom who, I'm a good dad who. It forces you from a sentence structure perspective to separate identity and behavior.
I'm a good mom who yelled. And then is the next step, then what's like a one-liner, even for the young kids?
I'm sorry I yelled. I think that probably felt bad. I love you and I'm working on it.
Okay.
I think it's the same, like when I haven't worked out in a bunch of mornings, so I'm like, I'm so lazy. Think about it. I've collapsed behavior into identity. If I can say to myself, I'm a good person who hasn't gotten to the gym. I'm a good person who wants to work out this morning. I am not letting myself off the hook. I'm keeping myself on the hook. Now I can actually find motivation.
Absolutely. So you give advice like this to millions of us. Thank you so much. What would you say is a piece of advice, the parenting advice that you give so frequently, but is the most overlooked?
Boundaries. Okay. We misunderstand boundaries in life and definitely in parenting. Boundaries are what you tell your kid you will do, and they require your kid to do nothing. When we say to a kid, stop jumping on the couch, that's not a boundary. That's a request. I'm not telling my kid what I'm doing, and it requires them to do something to be successful. If I say to my kid, it's hard for you to get off the couch, and look, you're jumping near that table, it's dangerous. I'm going to walk over to you, and if by the time I get there, you're not off the couch, I will pick you up and put you on the ground. By the way, in my house, when my kids were younger, if I'm doing that, my kid does not say, thank you for your sturdy leadership, really appreciate you. No, they have a tantrum. But then I can understand them. Oh, you wish you were jumping on the couch. But Robin, while you hold that boundary.
Totally. Yes, that makes so much sense. And it feels, so is it, so frame that for me again. Is it an if then, or it's just
Great push. People say, so is this a consequence? I think the thing that's different at Good Inside than all this random free parenting advice I have to say out there, we have a framework. There's core things we come back to. You know what's interesting? This goes back to what you said to me during our workout together the other morning. When you said I wasn't doing a push-up, it it really didn't feel like you were saying that like to me. It felt like you were saying it for me. You weren't like, there was no threat. There was no consequence. You feel the energy. If you don't get off the couch, this is what I'm doing. When I say to my kid, I could say the same language, but it's so different. Look, if you don't get off the couch, sweetie, I will do it for you. It's not safe. I'm saying that because I love my kid. And by the way, I'm also saying that because I love myself and I don't want to get to the situation where I'm giving a random empty threat. If you don't get off the couch, no dessert tonight. And then I give them blueberries and whipped cream because that's not dessert. Like, I don't want to do that. So I think it's different from an if then. It's different than a consequence because the mindset it comes from is coming from a place of authority without aggression. It's something you're doing for your kid, not to your kid.
totally. And it just has a different quality. It's not this like desperate energy. It's anchored. It's sturdy.
Anchor and sturdy. That's, I think, the biggest thing that we've overcorrected in parenting. A lot of us felt like no one cared about our feelings, which was horrible. But we've gone from not caring about kids' feelings to letting kids' feelings dictate parental decisions. I would say they're equally dangerous for kids.
Oh my gosh, thank you for that. So last question, I want to know what lit you up this morning? I know you protect your morning routine. What's lighting you up today?
So this morning was a workout morning. And so this morning was, this really is not a Peloton ad, but I'm really should do that because I did one of those tread workouts and strength together. And I do that once a week. Don't think I'm setting myself up for that more than once a week. Okay. But it's just my heart rate gets up. I really feel so strong. And I have to say, there's so many things from you and all your colleagues that I use in parenting, like all the time. And that strength and what I watch myself do, it makes me realize I can tolerate this tantrum. I can stay calm in this moment. And it really just sets me up for a good day to do more hard things.
I'm so happy to hear that. And so obviously everybody knows Dr. Becky, but if they don't, where can people find you? I know you got a book out right now. Like tell them all the things.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, goodinside.com is the home for everything Good Inside, right? And really, I think parenting is the biggest opportunity we have for our own self-growth journey, right? Nothing like having a kid to reveal everything you have to work on. And what we do at Good Inside is help you do that in a way that feels good while we help you show up in a way that you're proud of for your kids. And so goodinside.com is the home for that. I have a new children's book. We just launched teen. So we have a new teen creator. We're growing so much. So sign up for a newsletter. Come follow me on Instagram. Any of that.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for being in the Rolodex and joining us at Project Swagger. We are so grateful for your advice and your energy.
Thank you, Robin. You too.
This week's edit is presented by Shopify. In episode 2, we talked about how momentum is built by small, consistent action, especially small actions that help prepare us for that messy middle. Today, I want to return to that theme and share some go-to morning rituals that help me keep momentum during the day. All these rituals serve one common purpose. They connect my mind and my body. I mentioned this first one in a video online, and y'all went wild for it. So it's time to talk about my rock mat. A rock mat is exactly what it sounds like. It's a therapeutic mat with a firm, rocky texture on the bottom. They look like rocks. They feel pretty rocky. I stand on it every morning while I brush my teeth, and now I've gotten fancy with it. I'll do like one leg up, one leg down. Like I do single leg versions. I crunch my toes over the rocks. The whole purpose of this is to get my connection to the earth going, get my nervous system online, and making sure that my feet remain healthy. I don't think that we consider enough what our feet are doing for us, in thousands and thousands and thousands of steps a day. My second go-to ritual is getting outside. Even if it's overcast, I am outside, and I'm trying to get my kids outside during the mornings as well. My third, hydration. Do yourself a favor and set up a strong foundation in the morning. I'm going to lose momentum real quick if I'm not hydrated going into my workouts. You don't have to focus on the same things. If you leave with one piece of advice from this edit, let it be this. Activate your daily momentum by anchoring yourself in your body. Thanks for listening and watching this week. I'll see you next time.